Today on our 2009 Ford Edge, we're going to be installing the Curt Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C13067. Now here's what our hitch looks like installed on our vehicle. Now we'll go ahead and give you a couple measurements in helping you choose some accessories for your hitch, such as a ball mount, a bicycle rack, or a cargo carrier. From the top of the opening in the receiver to the ground, we have about 13 inches. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper, we have approximately 5 inches. Now let's go ahead and install our hitch. We're going to begin here underneath the vehicle by installing a safety strap underneath the exhaust to support it. Next, let's go ahead and point out the 3 rubber exhaust hangers that we're going to need to remove in order to lower our exhaust down out of the way. We'll start over here on the passenger side rear. There's one right here in the middle, as well as one over here on the driver's side. Now in order to remove our rubber exhaust hangers, we're going to use a little bit of spray lubricant and a large pry bar. We'll go ahead and repeat the same process with the other 2 rubber exhaust hangers. Next, we'll go ahead and use our safety strap to lower the exhaust down out of the way. Next, we're going to need to remove each of the heat shields. Now, each side has a total of 3 bolts, one here, here, and in the middle, as well as a push fastener right next to the middle bolt. We'll go ahead and remove each of the bolts. Next, we'll take our trim panel removal tool to remove this push fastener, or a large flathead screwdriver will work as well. Now with our heat shield pulled down, we're going to need to trim this little tab off right here. Go ahead and mark an area with our paint marker. So we'll go ahead and remove this little section right here. To do that, we'll just use a pair of tin snips. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall our heat shield. We'll push the push fastener back in place. We'll only be putting in the bolt that's in the center here. The 2 outer bolts will not be reinstalled, and the heat shield will be sandwiched between the hitch and the vehicle's frame. Now we can move over to the passenger side and repeat the same process. Next, let's go over the mounting locations that we'll be using to install our hitch. There's a total of 6 mounting locations, 3 on each side. We'll begin over here on the driver's side. We'll be using this hole right here, as well as this hole right here. And once the hitch is installed, we'll need to drill a hole right in this location, using the hitch as a template. Now over here on our passenger side, we'll be using this hole right here, this hole here, and again, we'll need to be using the hitch as a template to drill out our hole back here. Now let's go over the hardware that we'll be using to install our hitch to our vehicle. For the forward two-most mounting locations on each side, so this hole here and here, we'll be using a 1/2 inch carriage bolt by 1.5 inches long, a square hole spacer block, and a 1/2 inch flange nut. Now to install our carriage bolt and flange nut into the vehicle's frame, we'll be using a bolt leader or a pull wire to do that. So with our carriage bolt installed in the spacer block, it'll look like this up inside the frame, with our flange nut installed, securing the hitch. Now for the rearmost location, we'll be using a 1/2 inch by 1 inch long carriage bolt, a square hole spacer block, and a 1/2 inch flange nut. We'll again be using a bolt leader or a fish wire to pull our hardware into position. Now we'll go ahead and take our bolt leader or fish wire, we'll take the coiled in go through our mounting location, and we'll feed it towards the rear of the vehicle, or we'll pull it out the back end of the frame. Now we'll take our square hole spacer block, feed it onto the bolt leader, followed by our 1.5 inch half-inch carriage bolt. We'll then feed the spacer block and carriage bolt back into the vehicle's frame and pull it down into position. Go ahead and remove the bolt leader. And we'll repeat that same process at this mounting location here. We'll go ahead and repeat the same process over here on the passenger side for installing the hardware in the 2 forwardmost mounting locations. Now it's a good idea to get an extra set of hands to help you raise the hitch up into position. Once the hitch is up into position, we'll go ahead and loosely install the 4 flange nuts on the carriage bolts already installed in the vehicle's frame. Next we'll go ahead and tighten down the 4 flange nuts. Next we'll go ahead and take our drill bit and drill out the 2 remaining locations, one on each side. Now with both of the holes drilled, we'll need to use our pull wire and put the carriage bolt and spacer block into the vehicle's frame. Go ahead and put our spacer block and our bolt on, push them both in the back of the frame again. With our bolt pulled into position, we can go ahead and install the flange nut. With our nut installed, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. Now we can move over to the passenger side and repeat the same process. Now with all of our hardware tightened down, we can go ahead and torque it to the manufacturer's specification. We can then go ahead and reinstall the 3 rubber exhaust hangers that we removed earlier. Now with our 3 rubber exhaust hangers back in place, we'll go ahead and remove our safety strap. And that'll do it for the installation of the Curt Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C13067 on our 2009 Ford Edge.